Hi, so this is the new HowDidiDo platform that I'm going to give you a quick demo through. So we're actually using this on a live environment. So we could have done this the easy way and used a prototype, but this is actually the live app in its current state. So obviously we're a couple of weeks out from beta launch and a full launch later in early 2026. So there's still some screens that still need to be polished up and still some new features to be added. Like I say, this is going to be using a test golf club internally. So if you see some settings that maybe you've not got enabled, or you don't see some settings that you do have enabled, that is just the way we've configured this particular golf club. When we do launch the product, all of the features and settings that you have in Club V1 will be handled by HowDidiDo accordingly. So, as you can see here on my phone, this is the landing page to the new HowDidiDo app. We've updated the branding and the colouring and the tagline to really freshen up the approach. So first of all, what we're going to do is press Get Started. Now, as Matt's already touched on, one of the key things, especially in my role, that I wanted to focus on for the new HowDidiDo application was to really refresh the authentication process. So currently it's a 6-step registration process. It asks for all sorts of details, and users get stuck sometimes not being able to link to a record if you haven't created it or published it to HowDidiDo yet. And a lot of that strain was then put onto you as golf club managers to help facilitate your members in accessing HowDidiDo. So what we've done here is, as you can see, we've not actually gone to a registration approach. What we've done here is simply popping in our email address, and we're going to select to receive an OTP code. So I'm sure you're all very familiar with one-time passwords now. It's a very modern technology that the likes of Amazon are using. So this is simply now sending a code to my email address. Now that link will be valid for around 10 minutes. If I don't receive the code or it becomes invalid, I can simply select didn't receive a code and then resend that OTP code. Now, as you can see, as all sort of modern smartphones can do, they can read the code automatically from the mail. So I can select from mail, and that will automatically populate the code from my mailbox. So I've not even had to leave the application in order to enter that code. So now I've entered that code, I can press continue. Now at this point, what this is doing a database search. So this is now checking to see if my email address matches any records at any club systems clubs, but also any intelligent golf clubs. So if I'm a member of an intelligent golf club and a club systems club, I can now link to both clubs within the one application and to my one HowDidiDo account, rather than having to download multiple apps. So that has now brought back all of the clubs that match my record, but all the clubs that have an email address on record that matches my account. So if it didn't find any records, I would have simply entered my forename and surname, and I'd be able to authenticate into the app without having to link to a record, and I'd be able to link at a later date. So that cuts out the scenario where your members would previously get stuck without being able to link to a record. If all of these clubs were also old golf clubs, which I'm no longer a member of, I could just deselect them and continue without linking. Now, for the purpose of today's demo, I'm going to link myself to the HowDidiDo Launch Club and also to Holdsworth Golf Club. So that is now going to confirm that I have linked successfully to those records. So my HowDidiDo account is now associated with my membership in Handicap and Records at the HowDidiDo Launch Club and also at Holdsworth Golf Club. This now loads into the dashboard of the new platform. Now, as you can see, we've not had to enter any passwords or anything like that. So that again cuts out people forgetting their passwords, having to do the forgotten password links. Also on the old HowDidiDo, you had to select the verify your email address link, which we no longer have to do. So obviously entering that code is verified that I do have access to that email address. So that's a very slick and easy process. And again, I'm not required to do that every time I launch the app. This session will last for around 12 months. Obviously, if I do access the app or go on a different device or on the website, then each time you will have to enter that code to start that session. So first of all, we're going to start off in the profiles. In the top right hand corner, we've got a profile picture, and this is going to load my profile details. So as you can see, it's got my name and email address and some key handicap information. I can simply also select the edit option to change my profile picture. So if I wanted to update my profile picture, I could select change, either take a picture or choose a photo from my gallery, and I could also have the option to submit that profile change back to my club. So then on Club V1 you could also have that profile picture against their record, but we're not going to do that today. We also have the option to edit the email address. So if I'm no longer using this email, I've got a new email address, I can update that against my HowDidiDo record. So I could type in my new email address and that would update my HowDidiDo record to use that email address. And again, that will also send a request to you as golf club administrators to say that my email address is updated, which is really important in terms of keeping your details up to date. Obviously you're wanting to communicate with your members, so it's very important that you have their latest email address on record. Also, as part of the new HowDidiDo app, we've introduced for the first time, based on feedback, a dark theme. So I can select dark theme. So this would be, this is better accessibility settings. So some users find it easier to read text and navigate the app in a dark mode. So we've incorporated that as part of this being a native application. We've also got the option to view the contact details. So on here, I could change all of my personal details, my address, my date of birth, etc. And again, I have the option, if I wish to submit those changes back to my link club. So again, the records are then up to date at all of my golf clubs. Next, we have the notifications option. So the new HowDidiDo app will now handle all of the push notifications that were previously spread between HowDidiDo and the Club V1 Members Hub. So things like the course status and the account transactions. I'm opted in to receive those notifications. They would have previously been on the hub. I can also choose what emails I want to receive. So if I want to receive the competition results, I can do, etc. Now, just going back to the profile, we also have things like the terms and conditions in there if you want to view those. But the final point I'm going to touch on in the profile is the support and feedback section. So if any of your members have any queries, then they can use the support and feedback to enter a subject and their query, and our support team will be able to get back to them as soon as possible to support their needs. So, going back to the home page now. As you'll see to the right of the profile picture, we have a club crest. So if I select that club crest, I can now switch from the HowDidiDo Launch Club into my record at Holdsworth Golf Club. So when I select that, that will update to now be linked to Holdsworth. So when I click on my handicap record, for example, at the top of the home page, this is now going to load my WHS rounds. So as we can see, this is the handicap record. It's got my handicap index and CDH ID at the top. And this is now going to show me my last 20 rounds pulled in from the CDH, and we've got the 8 counting scores highlighted in orange, so I can clearly see which ones are my counting rounds. We've also highlighted which rounds are general play rounds and which rounds are also competition rounds, and they're colour coordinated accordingly. I've also got a tab to select all rounds. So this is going to load all of the rounds that I've entered either through HowDidiDo or the administrators have entered through Club V1, which aren't necessarily on the CDH. So things like the Autumn Cup, if that was maybe a non-qualifying competition, I can then view that history in there as well. The next part of the handicap record is the statistics. So again, every golfer is very keen to keep an eye on the statistics. So again, we've got some key metrics here, such as the total number of rounds I've played. This is all based on data that has been put to HowDidiDo. Obviously, we've now incorporated a scoring average, and I can still see my lowest, gross, and highest points, etc. Moving down, this is a personal favourite part of the statistics for me, is the scoring. So as I'm trying to improve and wanting to get more pars and more birdies, so it's great to sort of see those numbers increasing and hopefully not increasing my double bogeys or worse. So again, it's a great way to track progress, and hopefully next year we can get that first eagle. As we scroll down, we can then see the averages, so I can see how I'm performing on pars 3s, 4s and 5s very easily. The next part of the handicap record is the calculator. So in the current HowDidiDo, we do show what the course handicap would be at each tee set, but we've now also incorporated what the playing handicap would be based on a 95% allowance. In the future, we do plan to improve this to also incorporate team competitions. And also a new feature for this new HowDidiDo is we've also included a manual calculator. So on here, it's pre-populated my handicap index. I could override that value if I wanted to, and I can simply type in a slope rating, I can type in a course rating, and I can also type in a par. Now, as you can see, as I've entered those values, it's automatically moved me to the next input for ease of use. I can simply press calculate, and that is first of all going to provide me my course handicap at the top of 19, but again it's also going to tell me what my playing handicap allowance would be. So if I'm going to play a new course, or one of my friends is maybe going to join me as a guest, I can use this manual calculator to work out how many shots I might get at a new course, or how many shots maybe my friends are going to get. The final part of the handicap record is the handicap certificate. So we completely redesigned the handicap certificate. So again, this may still be used if your golfers are playing abroad or in specific open competitions. They might be able to provide a certificate. They can view this in the HowDidiDo application, but they can also select download and download that as a PDF or print that certificate out. So we're now going to go back to the home page, and again, if I switch back to the HowDidiDo Launch Club, this will automatically refresh the dashboard and update all of my balances. So when we were building this new HowDidiDo app, here on the home page, at a quick glance, we wanted to incorporate all of the key things I would want to see as a golf club member and a golf player. So obviously we've already touched about the handicap index. We can also see on the handicap index now of 16.9, it's also given me my latest handicap indicators. We can see that my handicap is reduced by 0.1 in my last change. Now as we scroll down, we can now see the balances. So again, it's very important as a golfer to see if I owe anything on my subscription, or what my balance is on my bar purses. So we can see I've got £108 on my bar and £55 on my comms. Now first of all, if I just click into the subscription, this is now going to load all of my subscription history. So we can see I've got an outstanding balance at the top of £1,892. I can see that just over £400 of that is overdue, and £1,400 of that is outstanding. So in the current members hub, we don't have any sort of colour coordination, so all of the bills kind of just blend into one. When now we can easily see with the colour scheme, so all of my paid bills will show in green. Any overdue bills, which is a bill that has an outstanding amount and we're past the due date, will show in red. And then any outstanding bills, which is a bill that has an outstanding amount but it's still within the due date, i.e. that one's due on the 4th of December, will show in orange. So again, as a golf club member, I can easily see which bills I need to pay. The other change to this page compared to the members hub is in the members hub, in the transaction history, we currently show all of the payments in the history as well as all of the bills. Now this becomes very difficult to reconcile for people that are making multiple payments or maybe making late payments. It's hard to reconcile which payments are allocated to which bill. Where now if I click on that bottom bill there that's been paid, we can first of all see the bill breakdown, but again we can see any payments that have been made against that bill, the date the payment was made, the media that was used to make that payment, and the total amount. So again, it's much easier for the user to now be able to reconcile their payment history. However, if I click on a bill like the top one where there's still an outstanding amount, I would have the option to still pay that bill if that has been enabled by the club. So I could select pay now, and this will now load the payment form within the app, so I can enter in my card details or pay using Apple Pay to pay off that bill, which will then automatically update back to Club B1. So just coming off the subscription, we're now going to look at the balances. So if I look at my bar purse, so my golf club here is set up with two purses, so I can see my bar purse. But I can also easily, just using a swipe action, swipe to view my competition purse and see my transaction history for both purses. So as I scroll down, again, this has been colour coordinated, so my sales are in blue, my top ups are in green, etc. If I scroll down and click on this £57 transaction, this is again going to load a transaction details page. We can see everything everything I've bought to accumulate that transaction. So I obviously bought a couple of hot chocolates and a couple of Cokes, etc. We can see if there's any discount on that transaction, which cashier made the transaction, what the till number was for the transaction, and also what my closing balance was. And again, similar to the certificate, I've also as a user got the option to download a receipt of that transaction if needs be, and either print it out or save that to my files. Again, we've also got the option, those of you that may not know about this feature, we have the option to do auto top-ups. So with an auto top-up, what I can do is I can create a rule to say that when my bar balance drops below £5, to automatically top it up by 50. So with this, I would add a payment method using my credit or debit card, and then anytime my bar balance drops below £5, it will automatically top me up by £50. Again, this is a great feature to ensure that I can always enter my competitions, because I'll always ensure that I've got a balance on my account. And again, you can set up different rules. So on my comps purse, I could set up that when this one drops below £10 to top me up by 25. So again, if I'm entering any competitions, I'm not getting stuck at the PSI or in HowDidiDo without being able to enter the competition. We also still do have the option just to do a manual top-up, and again we've added more default options compared to what we have currently for easier checkout. So I could just select £100, confirm that payment, confirm that value, and again I'd be asked to just simply enter my credit or debit card details and make that payment, and that would top up my card. Now just going back to the dashboard, after obviously seeing my index and my balances, the next key thing I want to see as a user is if I've got any upcoming tea bookings. So here we can see that I've got a tea booking today at 10 o'clock for 3 people. If I scroll to the right, I can see that I've got one on Friday at 9 o'clock, etc. And also at the end of this component, we've got the option to select book another tea time. So I can select book another tea time, and this will now load the tea sheet for my launch course. So at the top, we've got the option if we wanted to switch between the different start points, i.e. the 1st or the 10th tee. We've got an information icon, which is going to allow me to see what the weather for the day is, when the sunrise is, when the sunset is. We've also now incorporated what the wind might be for those coastal courses, and also we've got the course status. We also have the option to switch between different courses here, so I could switch to view the whole Swift tee sheet if I wanted to. And again, this is actually a list of courses rather than clubs. So if I'm at a member of a club that's got multiple courses, it will display all those courses, and I can easily navigate between my different courses within the tee sheet without having to go in and out. Again, we've got a date slider, so if I wanted to look to the next day, then I could do. We've got any course messages at the top, so any currently holes 16 to 18 are closed. And then what we've also done is we've built in this option that we will currently by default hide any previous tee time. So as a user, it's loaded 11:40 is the next available tee time. So again, if I'm looking to book a tee time for today, I can easily find the next available tee time to make a booking, but I can select that show previous tee times, and that will show me those bookings. As we scroll down the tee sheet, we can see we've got another course message at a specific time for 12 o'clock, just a reminder to repair divots. We've also got any reservations, so some course maintenance there at 12:20 till 12:40. I can see other people on the tee sheet, so I can see that Jason's got a booking with 4 people at 1 o'clock. And again, there's a group booking there at 2. And then we also then get to 9-hole bookings only from 3 o'clock. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the 3 o'clock tee time and select book, and this will now load into the booking configuration screen. So I've got the countdown time in the top right hand corner to tell me that I've got 10 minutes to make this booking. I've then also, it's given me some key metrics about the booking time I've selected. So I've got the tee time I've selected, the date and the start point, just to make sure I have selected the time I wanted to. Again, my club's configured to do either 9 or 18 hole booking, so I could tab to choose if I want to book 9 or 18 holes. Then we come to the playing partner, so it's automatically added me in by default, and then I can choose to add a playing partner, and it's calculated who my frequently played with players are. So I can simply just select Matt Berg and Zach Taylor and confirm players, and they've now been added to my booking. I can also choose to manage any services. So these are all the services that are available. So I could simply add a buggy and perhaps add a club hire and confirm those services as well. But we're not going to make an online payment today, so we're just going to take those off very easily for the moment. We then also come now to being able to share the tee time. So there's still one available slot in my booking. There's only 3 people on the time at the moment. So if I wanted to, this is currently a club configuration setting, I could choose to allow the spare slots to be taken by another member or another visitor if I wanted to. I then as well could easily add any player notes to the booking if I wanted to make the pro or the back office aware of any needs for my particular round. I'm now simply just going to confirm that booking, and that has now taken me to the booking confirmation page. So again, it's confirmed my booking has been made, it's given me the reference number of my booking, it's given me the key details such as the tee time, the date, the number of holes I've selected, the course and the start point, and then it's listed all of the playing partners have been added to the booking and any costs associated with each player. Now, if I had added those services to the booking, they would have also shown on this confirmation page. Now again, the beauty of this now being a native app is we can make use of things like adding to calendars. In the top right hand corner, you'll see there's now an add to calendar option. So I can simply select that and add that tee time I've just made to my iPhone calendar, which will automatically give me reminders of that event. But again, I can see that tee time alongside my personal diary events as well, which is a great little feature. And I was going to go back to the tee sheet. And again, I could simply just tap Friday, and that would load the tee sheet for Friday, and I can see what bookings are happening on Friday as well. And now, just going to go back to the home page. So after looking obviously balances and tee bookings, as a golfer, then want to see if there's any upcoming competitions. So here we have a competitions component, and I can easily tab between what competitions I may have already booked into or what competitions are available. So within booked, I can see I'm booked into the Taylor Trophy next Wednesday with 3 people at 9 o'clock. However, I go to available, I can see what competitions are upcoming at both of my linked clubs. Now if I click on the Warburton Cup, for example, this will load a competition details page, and as you can see, booking hasn't actually opened yet for this competition. It's visible but not actually open. So what I can do now is I can add a reminder. So what that'll do is that means then at 6 o'clock on the 22nd, when that booking becomes live, I'll get a notification reminder to let me know that booking has now opened, so I can be first in line and try and get the tee time that I want for that particular booking. Again, just a new feature within the application. However, if I just go back, and if I look at, say, the November mixed medal, for example, again, it's going to load this competition details page. Now, this is actually a new page from the new HowDidiDo platform. So in the current app, we go and do a booking in one area of the app, we then sign in a separate area, we then enter a score in a separate area, we look at the leaderboard in a separate area, and there's nothing really tying all of those actions together. So one improvement we made to the HowDidiDo is we've built this competition details page, which essentially acts as a hub for a particular competition. So again, I've got the option to add that competition to my calendar. I can see what the competition name, the date, the format. It's giving me a breakdown of all the tees, so what tees are available to men, what tees are available to women, that it's an acceptable for handicap competition. Obviously, therefore, the allowance is 95%. You can see key things like the number of holes, the contact for the competition, any entry fees, and also a description. So again, I can view all of the information about the competition at a quick glance. Now this is a dynamic page. So as you just saw earlier, booking wasn't open, so the call to action at the bottom was to add a reminder. However, in this case, booking is open, so the option is to now book. And as you'll see shortly, that will also update to sign in and score entry on the day of the competition. So if I just press book, this will now load the start sheet for the competition. So we can see that George is already booked in at 2. We can see that there's still 47 slots remaining out of 57. And I can scroll down and I can select, say, the 4 o'clock tee time and select book. And then this again will give me some key bits of information about the competition. I can choose my payment method. And again, I can add any playing partners to the booking. So I could add Amna to my booking and confirm that. Again, I can add any services for those of you that are using competition services. So I've got a buggy. So now I've added Amna to my competition booking and a buggy. And now I can just press confirm and pay. And that is going to charge my member card that amount. So it would have also charged Amna her £10 as well. So again, similar to what we've just seen in casual booking, I've got the option to add that to my calendar as a reminder. It's given me the tee time I've selected, the date and the number of holes, my playing partners that have paid the entry fee, and also the services I've added to that booking. So now if I go back to the dashboard, and scroll down, we can now see below the sort of main sort of part of the home page, we scroll down, this is now what would formerly be the timeline of How Did I Do, which used to be what you would first see when logging into How Did I Do. So again, we can see here it's the latest competition result. So we can see that was the Coil Cup that took place yesterday. And as we scroll down, we start seeing the How Did I Do media content, which looks much better than how it was in the previous How Did I Do, making it much easier to read the latest articles. Again, if I'm interested in reading what's in the bag with Matt Fitzpatrick, I can simply set read more, and that will take me to the full article to read about Matt Fitzpatrick's bag. Now, as we scroll down, we'll then also come to some club content. We can see here some club news articles have been published from the How Do Launch Club. So if I want to read about the Captain's Day dinner, I can simply select that, and that will provide me with all the information about that club news article. Now, what we're going to do is the next navigation option is the club section down the bottom. So if I select club, this will now load the club I'm currently selected to, which is the How Did I Do Launch Club. Again, I can easily flick to Holdsworth and view all the club information around Holdsworth Golf Club. So again, this is sort of a mini club hub. So at a quick glance, I can see what the latest diary event is, what the latest club news article is, etc. So first of all, we just click on View Diary. This is now going to load the updated club diary. So I can see day by day everything that's going on at the club. So that's all the competitions, any club socials, any general events, etc. And if I just look at the bonfire night, for example, I can select that event, and that will then load the diary event details page, where I can view all the information about the diary event, including any tea times which may have been reserved, any facilities which may have been reserved. And again, I've got the option to add that diary event to my calendar. Now, as I go down, I can also search the event, so I can search for November, and that will then filter the diary to only show the events which are related to November, i.e. the November medal, the November Stableford, etc. I've then also got the option to filter the diary events, so if I only wanted to see club social events, that has now filtered the diary for me to only see the events which are a club social. I've then also finally got the option to subscribe to the diary, which is previously in the Members Hub. So in the Members Hub, we can subscribe to the diary. So what this will do is this will download all of the club events to my local calendar, and as you as golf club administrators add new events, edit any events or delete any events, that will automatically update in my personal calendar. The next one we're going to look at is the latest news. So we show the three latest news, but I can press View All News to view the full selection of the club news. Again, I've got the search, so I can start typing in Curry, for example, and this would load the Curry night. I can select the Curry night and view the full article. And again, as part of this being a native application and accessibility is something we really wanted to focus on, if I just increase my font size temporarily, we can see that with users that are using higher font size, that has rendered the page accordingly in a bigger font size for clearer visibility. However, I'm just going to lower that back down because I like to have it sort of middle of the range. So now if we go back to the Club Hub, the next part is the directory. So if I click into the directory, this is now going to load a list of all of the members at the HowDidiDo Launch Club. Now, currently we have a directory in the Members Hub, and then we have a handicap list in How Did I Do. So we've rewrote this to incorporate the best parts of both. So first of all, I can simply search for a member. So if I just start searching Taylor, that will find Zach Taylor without me having to scroll down the whole directory. If I wanted to filter, I could filter that I want to look at men that have a handicap and put it in the highest handicap order, and that will automatically update the directory accordingly. So now I can see that Jay Girdley is the highest handicapper at the club. So now if I just go back, the next part of the Club Hub is the documents. So if I select documents, this will now load all of the club folders. Again, I've got the option to search for a folder. I can click into a particular folder and view all of the files that are within that folder. Again, if I had tens of documents in here, I could use the search to search the particular file I'm looking for. And I've also got the option to tab to view any personal documents. So these are any documents that you as club administrators have attached to my record. So my application form has been added to my record, so I can simply press the application form and that will load that document. I've also got these 3 dots on the right hand side, which if I select will give me the option to either download or print that document out. Just going back to the Club Hub. The next option is a link to the website. So in Club V1, if you set your website link, I can simply tap that tile and that will then redirect to your website. So the members have always got an easy way of accessing the club site. Again, for those of you that may be using custom tiles, you can create a custom tile in Club V1 if you're a premium or ultimate customer. So you can call this tile whatever you like. You can give it a name and a URL. And when you simply select that tile, it will redirect to whatever URL you've set in Club V1. Now the final part of the club section is the sponsors. So for those of you that might not be utilising sponsors, it is something we offer, and it's a great way of generating more revenue for your golf club. So here, the Whitmore Garden Design business is paying me to be a sponsor of the club, and as part of that, all of my members can now see the Whitmore Garden Design. I can read more about their offerings, and I can also click the option to visit their website if I wanted to contact them. So that brings us to the end of the club section. The next option across the navigation is book. So if I selected book, it's then going to give me the option if I want to book into a member competition, an open competition, or a tea time. Now we've already looked at a tea time and a member competition, so we're going to select the option to look at an open. So in here, if I type in a location such as Manchester, select Greater Manchester, this is then going to show all of the open competitions that are available within Manchester. I can increase the radius if I wanted that to be 30 miles and only ones which are a men's competition, for example, then all of those results will update automatically. Now, I'm not going to book into anyone's opens and take any slots up, so we're just going to come out of that. The next navigation option is the Golf Hub. So again, I've got the option to easily switch to holes of golf who wanted to see their Golf Hub, but we're going to stay on the launch club pin now. So first of all, I've got an option to start a general play round. So first of all, it's going to check my location. I'm not within the correct radius, so it's got to be a non-acceptable for handicap round. At the top, again, I've got the option to switch between different clubs. It's defaulted with the course, so the first course, I've only got one course selected, and I'm simply going to choose what tee I want to select for this general play round. So we choose the yellow card, for example, I can then register. This is now confirmed that I've registered for the round. It's given me my handicap information, so it's told me what my current index is, what my course handicap is, and obviously it's a general play, so that's 100% allowance for my playing handicap matches my course handicap. And I've got the option then to simply begin scoring all tied together rather than having to go to a separate area of the app. Now in here, what I wanted to do is incorporate all the things that golf wants to see. So straight away it's showing what tee, so I can easily see that I've selected the yellows, and then it's given me the par and the stroke index for each hole. We've also created a custom keypad. So as you can see, the first hole is a par 4. So if I was to select 5, it's telling me that is a bogey, a 4 would be a par, and a birdie would be a 3, etc. So again, that will just help make sure that users are entering the correct score. So I can simply just pop in some scores and flick to the next hole. Again, we've come away from having the plus and minus options next to each hole, so I can simply tap all of my scores in. After 9 holes, it's then going to show me all the scores I've entered and give me my total out, just so I can make sure that's correct. And then I'm going to continue scoring, and that's then going to start my back 9. So again, I can continue through. Now, for example, I can select the scorecard at any time, so I can go to the scorecard and we can see I didn't enter a score on hole 12. I can simply just tap hole 12 and it will redirect me to that hole, and I can pop in my score. So again, we'll just finish the round and then submit the score. Now obviously this isn't, it's only a test club. What we would do at this point, not for you guys, is this would ask you to select your marker and sign the scorecard, etc. But obviously we wanted to make this demo as slick and easy as possible, so we've just disabled that for the purpose of today. But don't worry, that will all be built into the HowDidiDo app that you receive. The next part of the golf section is then the competitions. So again, I can select the upcoming competitions and view all the upcoming competitions that are available at the club. I could filter that to view just men's competitions or view women's competitions. I can see that I'm booked into the November Mixed Medal and the Taylor Trophy, and that the Warburton Cup, that the booking hasn't opened yet. And again, I can easily select view details to view that competition as we've already seen. Now, the other tab is recent competitions. This is going to show me all of the results for competitions that have been published to How Did I Do. So, for example, the Coil Cup yesterday, I can simply press View Results, and this will show me all the scores that have been entered into that competition. So as we can see, I have won this particular round, so I can select my name, and this will now load the individual scorecards. So we can see this has given me a hole-by-hole breakdown of all of my scores. And we've also colour coordinated all of the holes, all of the sort of pars and birdies and bogeys accordingly as well. We can also, again, as part of accessibility, I can increase the view so it zooms in a little bit more to make that a bit of a clearer reading, and then just scroll side by side to read those scores. Again, we've also used a sort of font style in the same way we have in the score entry, a pencil font style, sorry, should I say, in the result and the score entry, to still give the user the feel that they are entering a scorecard. Now, what we've also included is the option to select the second at the bottom right. So I can now easily just select second, and that will load the score for the person that came in second. And now I've got the option to either look back at the person who came first or third, etc. So again, it's a great way of just being able to easily, quickly scan through all of the scores for that particular result. Again, I've got the search bar, so if I just start searching for Berg, that will update the search to only find Matt Berg's score. So there's 100 people in this competition. Rather than scrolling down to find 100 people to my friend Matt Berg's finished, I can simply just search for his name. We've then also got the information option at the top, so I wanted to see some more information about this competition. It opens up this bottom drawer, it tells me the T's and the description, if it was acceptable for handicap, etc. Again, we've also got the option to view all results, so I can see all the results that have happened at the golf club and click into any that I want to view. Now, we've already looked at tee bookings, so we're not going to look at that. And then we've got the How Did I Do challenges, formerly known as sponsored competitions. So we're showing some of the challenges here. Again, I can view all the challenges to show me a list of all the challenges that are available. So for example, the Adidas Grand Final, I can click into that challenge and view the details. So again, there's some great prizes for your members to be taking advantage of here through Titleist and Adidas, etc. We've also then got How We Beat It, which is an ongoing sponsored competition in current How Did I Do. So again, this is loading the current leaderboard for who's winning How Do We Beat It. And again, this is in partnership with prostate cancer, and it's something very proud of. We've raised over £250,000 for prostate cancer over our sort of 10-year partnership with them. I can press the information icon to view again all the terms and conditions around that particular event. So again, there's some great prizes to be had through the challenges. As we scroll down the gold section, we then come to knockouts. So as we can see, we've got a list of all of the completed knockouts and ongoing knockouts. So for example, if I click on the mixed winter knockout and view that knockout, similar to the competition details, we've got a nice knockout details page. Again, give me some key information, the description, the tees that the men and the women are going to play off, the allowance, etc., and any entry fees. And I could press sign up, choose if I wanted to opt into the twos, and then confirm my entry into that knockout. So that has confirmed my entry, and then I could simply, if I wanted to, also withdraw from that event as well. Now, just going back to my list of knockouts, we've then also got the men's knockout. And again, I'm going to view the details for the men's knockout. Now, this is a knockout that is ongoing, where I've already signed up to it and the draw's already been performed. So what is straight away, it's now telling me that my next match is the quarter-final, match 12 against Matt Berg. It's working out the handicap difference. I've then also got the option to either message or phone or email Matt, as he's set those preferences to be visible, so I can organise when we're going to play that match. But again, as I scroll down, I can still see all the other information that's available. I can then tap to the draw, and again, this will view the draw, so we can see in round one all of the results. We can see that I beat Jake Eardley there in the first round. It's highlighted my round in orange. Now, a small change that we've made for How Did I Do is we used to always just show it by the number of holes up, where now if a match has been won with 0 holes remaining, we'll show that as 1 or 2 up, where all the other matches will show as 3 and 2, 5 and 4, etc. Now I can simply tab to the next round, and that will then show me the match that I've got upcoming against Matt Berg. I can simply select enter result, and that's going to give me the details about the match, and I can select that I beat Matt by 3 holes with 2 remaining and input that score. So the final part of the goal section is the ongoing competitions. So first of all, I'm just going to tap into the orders of merit. So again, it's giving me a list of all the order of merits that have been published to How Did I Do. I'm going to select the men's order of merit first of all, and now this is going to give me the current leaderboard for the order of merit. Again, we've now included a search. I wanted to find Matt Berg. Again, I can simply search for Matt. But what we can now do is I can click into my name, and this is now, again, a new part of How to Do, which isn't in the current version. It's now going to give me a breakdown of how I have accumulated those 32 points. So it's going to tell me that I've won 2 competitions to accumulate 10 points, then I've had a manual allocation of 12 points to accumulate my 32 points, which is great to see. And also we've got another tab, so I can tab to competitions, and I can see all of the competitions that have been made available to the order of merit. So as a player, I can see which competitions I might not have entered to see where I could maybe have accumulated more points. Now, if we go back to the eclectics, again, this is now going to display all the eclectics that have been published to How Did I Do. I could filter that by gender if I wanted to. I'm going to select the men's eclectic. And again, this is going to now show the eclectic in 2 different views. So I could simply select Zach Taylor, and that will give me his eclectic score for the front and back 9. And that is the same for everyone. Or I can select the details option if I wanted to see it in hole by hole. So again, it's just giving more flexibility to the end user, and they have the preference to view it in whichever way they prefer. Now, another new thing is we can also search again, but this is slightly different to the other searches we've looked at. So I'm going to add Matt Berg. I'm also going to search for myself, and I'm also going to search for, say, Zach Taylor. Now, what that's done is this is essentially using a comparison. So it's filtered everyone else out to the leaderboard, and now I can compare against my 2 friends to see, you know, that Matt's obviously had a 4 on holes 1, where me and Zach have had a 3, and again I can compare my scores against my friends very easily. Now, just going back, the final navigation option is the Explore tab. So in the Explore tab, this is going to show all of the timeline content essentially. So if I'm really interested in the latest equipment news and current How Did I Do, I would just have to keep scrolling and scrolling down the current timeline to find all of the equipment news that I'm interested in. But now in this Explore section, all the users will be able to engage with all of this content in a filtered manner. So for example, travel content, if I'm interested in reading this article about Sri Lanka, I can select that and read the full article as well. The other new thing we've incorporated is a search. So if I wanted to just know about ShotScope, for example, rather than finding all of the results for ShotScope, I can simply search for ShotScope and select the ShotScope article, and that will provide all of the articles which are related to ShotScope. Now finally, what I'm just going to show is to show how dynamic competitions are. If I go back to my dashboard now, a competition has become available for today's date. So this is now showing the today's golf section at the top of the dashboard, and we can see the call to action is that that it's in progress, and there's an option to check in to this competition. So I'm going to select that component, and that's now going to load the competition details. But as we saw earlier, in advance of the competition, it said add reminder. It was then book. Now it's on the day of the competition. It's going to say check in, and I've got 6 o'clock to check until 6 o'clock to check in. So I'm going to confirm that I want to check in. I could also choose to opt into the 2s if I wanted to. So that's saying that I'm going to pay a £10 entry fee and a £2 optional fee. I'm going to confirm that I want to check into that event, and this is now going to load again a confirmation of what my playing handicap is. So that's 21 comparison to my 22 course handicap, and I can now begin scoring. So this is going to load the score entry view, which is very similar to what we just saw with the general play round. And again, I can enter all of my scores. Now this is a Stableford competition. So as we can see, as I'm entering a 5, it's working out that that's a 5 for 3, and then in total I've got 6 points. So I can continue hole by hole entering my scores. Now the other thing that we've got is, what's that, sorry? Matt's just informing that we've also got the option at the bottom to do a no return or a not started. So again, we can just continue typing in all of our points. Again, after 9 holes, it's going to tell us what our gross score is and what the total points is. As we continue through, again, we'll get the option to then submit the score. Again, we could as well view the leaderboard in there as well without having to exit score entry. So currently within How Did I Do, if you're entering a score, you have to exit the score entry to view the leaderboard, and now we can simply tab to the leaderboard to see how everyone's getting on. Obviously, some clubs set that the leaderboard is going to become available later on in the afternoon. That will all still be respected. So that is a quick run through of HowDidiDo, and as mentioned, like I say, we're still working on some new features and some touching up. So again, ready for the launch early next year. And again, this will give us a great platform to build in more features. We've got some great ideas for going into next year for what we can do with HowDidiDo to really improve the community aspect and also the golfing aspect of it. I'll now hand you back to Matt, who's going to quickly go through the next steps.